One percenters, welcome back. Coach Tommy at 1424 basketball training where the goal is to take 14 minutes, 24 seconds, or 1% of your day to get better. The story behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's unstoppable sky hook. Ball the right moves, the ringer.
If I said George Gervin, you'd say finger roll. If I said Tex Winner, you'd say triangle. If I said the New York Knicks,
there's this video going around of the OKC guy hitting sky hooks. I've been posting videos about hooks, and all of a sudden the algorithm has caught on, Bleacher Report has caught on, YouTube has caught on, and suggested this video for me. So let's understand the sky hook. Go check my short that I just put out the other day. Around the world sky hooks. The most deadly shot that you need to work on. As the game evolves from inside to mainly outside three-pointers, that little mid-range is where it's going to be. And not only that, the sky hook is one of those weapons that you need to have. So you got a little head start. But now that it's kind of gotten to social media, your timetable might be shortened a year or two. Donning the purple and gold with the Los Angeles Lakers. My hair looks like Kareem right now. Bam, got him. Skyhook is so devastating because there's a open stance, closed stance, and post stance. That's a post stance, and then when your shoulder is into that chest, you're a closed stance, and the closed stance is the hardest stance to guard against. They have to go through your body to defend it. The longest part of your body, the width of your body, shoulder to shoulder like that. And a lot of players nowadays, they don't want to be physical, so the hook is a little bit more finesse. Yeah, I think I've officially made it cool enough to my players where they want to do it, and they actually requested to work on it yesterday in the group trainings, so that makes me happy.
He was lucky to be in New York City playing high school basketball merely blocks from Madison Square Garden, where he'd observed firsthand
Bill Russell.
The player that he insists was his hero.
That's not really a sky hook.
A friendship with Will Chamberlain and shadowed him for a while. The lineage of the hook shot is murky, but it's
that's a sky hook. Sky hook is more loopy and around. A jump hook is when you jump and then shoot it over your shoulder. That's more like Shaq.
Every center had a hook shot, just as every guard had it.
Boom, like that. That's what I want my younger, smaller players to play like, that hook shot. That one. So anytime you run across the lane and you do it,
Cliff Hagan mastered it in the 50s, but the hook shot was put on a collision course with a 6'6".
Now that I'm watching it, a lot of players had it, and they have different release angles.
Mike had created the dominant big man template from scratch with help from his college coach at DePaul, Ray Meyer.
So you could lean in with your chest a little bit.
Player and imagine the possibilities, forcing him to spend hours repetitively shooting left and right-handed hook shots without dribbling the ball, in a drill that would go on to haunt the lives of every relatively tall person in youth practices across the world.
So like, just like this kid here, I mean, I make kids do mic drills, and they all want to do it like this is a side hand hook, which is good. The touch near the rim is okay for most players, but this kid here, keeping the ball high, and he's using a overhand finish, and that's incorrect. Right here, this is a side hand finish, which is good. So, sorry about that, went back too far. A lot of kids, you want to make it loopy. You want to make it loopy like this girl here. She's coming around like this, which is good. Okay, as you see her hand, her wrist is coming back this way. This kid is what I would call overhand finish. The hand is underneath. This is like a jump shot just near the rim. He's getting a wrist snap down like how you would shoot a jump shot and not away. I have a beginning curl cutting series. I have my little 7-8-year-old just doing a bunch of curls like this, learning how to jump off right leg and then left hand. You grab it, you come around the other way. This kid's doing it correct. See, he extends a little bit. but he's going away, so it turns into more of a jump shot. It's not actually going over his shoulder. So when I tell my players optimize for the take and not the make, some players are so concerned about making the shot, like right here when you're learning and when you're training, it really doesn't matter if you make it. So right here, he's turning his chest, okay, back towards the rim here, and this is not really a hook shot anymore. Neither is this one. So they all look the same, but what's going to separate, you know, the goods and the greats and the, you know, super greats, the Kobe's, like how accurate or how strict on some of these are you doing? So that was good. This one's okay. This one's not good. He's not even using his wrist.
Kareem's middle school coach in an open gym, he insisted on making the hook shot Kareem's first polished skill. Today, most hook shots are abbreviated versions of this.
These are jump hooks.
Jump hooks or baby hooks. One-handed shots that are flicked with your shoulders open to the rim, jumping off of 2 feet and extending the ball as high as you can.
Yeah, those are not sky hooks. Those are jump hooks.
Billy Miguel often gets credit
That's
for
a hook.
that version. The sky hook was lethal because
I guess I should call it sky hooks. Sky hooks.
Work his way into it, and the various areas of the floor.
So being in that close stance that I talked about, see, shoulders into this defender. That's what makes it so difficult to guard. Right here. Okay, so when he's close, shoulders into chest, the ball has to come all the way around here. So as a defender, you have to come. You can't break this plane or else you're going to foul him. So if you are constantly releasing it back here, that's why it works so well. Again, here's that close, right? Here's Will Chamberlain's chest into his shoulder. I made a video about it, the most unstoppable shot, and when I talk about Jokic's shot, he shoots it from behind his head, so you have to go over and through his body. That's what makes Jokic's pump fake so deadly, because they have to invade this verticality space. So here's a great example of it coming around. So those other ones like Shaq, those are jump hooks, not sky hooks.
Usually went like this. Kareem starts with his back to the defender with a wide stance and both hands on the ball at about his waist. If Kareem isn't moving with the ball when he goes into the shot, he'll often give a push with his right leg, establishing that pivot foot away from the defender. Now he's pushing away, swinging his right leg around and up, and lifting his right arm and leg as if they're on a string. That propulsion from his left leg gets him into the air, and that right arm extension.
You really don't have to jump that high to do this.
That extension, Kareem's release point was very frequently over
so
the rim.
the most dangerous part is if you don't let him get into the motion. So when it's down here, you got to be wary of it down here.
Made it nearly impossible to defend, even for the longest and most athletic leapers.
It's Will Chamberlain, probably the best basketball athlete of all time. Unstoppable. So I mean, here's an ad. Please like and subscribe. Help your brother out. I need to get to 1,000. Just for 1,000's sake, and hopefully I can make pennies on ads or something. I don't know. Anyway. Go work on your hook shots. Work on thousands and thousands. Remember, you have to get through quantity before you can get to quality. So blast through those first 1,000 or so that you need to make even your sky hook look respectable.
Was the sky hook practical? Let me ponder that for a moment.
I made a bet with somebody that I'd make 10 in a row from the free throw line hook shots for $100. So I got till the end of this month to do that, and it's currently April 7th, so I got 4 weeks left. 3 weeks left. These are turnaround jump shots. That's a sky hook there.
All-NBA 10 times, appeared in the All-Star game 19 times, and is the reigning scoring leader in the
Kareem.
at a whopping 38,387.
Got him. That one is the toughest one from that side for me. Straight on, as I practiced. I think the higher angle off the backboard is the easiest because you don't really need to get that arc on it. The one right in the middle of the lane, to me, is really easy. And to me, really easy is like 40 to 50% in practice, so I'm not even that good. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. No ejections, nobody running onto the court right here. Oh, take this elbow with you, son. Bam! You gonna hit me, fool? I'm gonna hit you right back.
Not a box to be checked. Bothering him was about all you could do.
What I'd try to do is beat him to the spot and make him start a foot or two outside of his comfort zone, and then I would sit.
I mean that's easy, right? You're just trying to push him out.
Left shoulder so that he couldn't step straight across the lane, but would have to step up the lane a little bit. You just tried to make it a little more uncomfortable for him, make him take the shot a little farther away from the basket. That sounds good in theory. It didn't work very well in practice.
And like,
For him, make him take the shot.
so Kareem only has it off the the left foot. I've been practicing off the right foot as well. So if you take this first step as you pick up the ball with the left, and then you step further with your right, and you have a right hand, right foot hook, oh my God, you'll be literally unstoppable. And if you guys are Joker fans, you kind of see him do the right foot hook more than he does the left foot hook. So you got to have both as you move further into this game. Kareem was able to get away with just one foot and be the best scorer of all time. Oh my God. That's Conan O'Brien.
It does seem obvious, but it's going to require an immense amount of time, focus, and effort. Kareem's relationship.
They talk about immense focus of time, focus, and effort. Remember, can I write on this? Oh, we could. Selection, right? Selection, order, duration, and accuracy. So selection is you working on the hook. So you got to start working on the hook, depending on where you're at, basically. And then accuracy is what you want to focus on next. It has nothing to do with time, right? You have to get the duration way up. Duration meaning the reps, iterations. Get the reps up. Blast through those first reps in the beginning. Like I said, get rid of those first few thousands. It won't take many days. It takes a lot of iterations. My right shoulder, my right bicep feel a lot bigger, to be honest. Just practicing for 7 days of hooks. And I would say I've done, today I did 300. So let's say 300 a day. I know I've done more than that in the first few days. So I did, I don't know, 300 times 7. Let's just say I've done 2,100, and my goal is to at least get to 10,000 pretty easily. If you ever watched like Outliers or read that book, Malcolm Gladwell, they say 10,000 hours. It's not 10,000 hours. It's really, for me, it's iterations or reps. And for basketball, some people who are talented, it might take less. I would not say I'm particularly special, so really I need to get to like 100,000 iterations. And so if I go math-wise, I don't know, I'd have to divide that by 30, and so I guess that's 3,000 a day, something like that would get me there. Okay, so if I did 300 a day, or I don't know, my math is bad, so at least 300 a day, I would assume. And I think I can do that pretty easily. Sorry, I don't know how to get rid of this.
Under John Wooden at UCLA.
Without doing that.
The NCAA outlawed dunking in 1967 is clearly
it's a numbers game, guys.
But for someone as resilient and as disciplined as Kareem, it had the reverse effect. No dunking meant a further reliance.
So he doesn't have a left shoulder hook. It's just a right hand turnaround.
His 4 years at UCLA were the time when the skyhook skyrocketed in its effectiveness and nosedived in its replicability. Wooden called this shot the
John Wooden, probably the greatest coach of all time.
For it to hang around, the move was going to have to evolve, so the two began shaping it like sculptors shaving inches.
I just started watching Man in the Arena with Tom Brady to study Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Coaches got to learn from other coaches and other greats.
Shots of Mike and Hagan sold out to protect the shooter from the on-ball defender, but they also totally exposed the ball. To aid this, Wooden insisted that Kareem keep his hand, elbow, and knee as close to in line as possible. It made the move sleeker and tighter to his body, and this is where a shift occurred that other players can't seem to replicate. The power generated by the move was now transferred into that left leg propulsion and away from his right arm carrying a lot of the weight. That type of control and extension is the result of rare physical attributes.
I'm going to have to take that tip as I practice. So I'm not nearly as tall as Kareem, and so you really have to play around with all of these angles and parabolas right? You can get a side extension finish, like you can have it all the way out here and then flick your wrist. You can bring it up narrow and then flick your wrist, right? You can bring it out wide like this. There's so many of these things that you have to play with as you go through, like all of these angles that I'm drawing. I guess I should draw it. So there's that one, 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 right? There's this one, there's this one. Like you'd have to play around with every single one of those iterations that your arm can go through, and it becomes like motor memory or muscle memory to get all of those things down.
Huge hands and 7'5" wingspan allows
So you got to get all those reps up.
Step, elevate, and extend upwards, and then at the apex,
Like straight up line it up and down like that is
He has a very unique body type. He has the body
is a
type
good tip
of a Scotty
to
Pippen
shorten it or make it a little bit more robotic, where I think the game is much more fluid.
To master this particular shot, Kareem was the right type of person in the right type of environment.
Your body doesn't need to be special. That's just an excuse. Come on, Bill Walton.
Not sustainable. Boom, I gained it back so fast this time.
At some point or another, Kareem has
Kobe.
tons of young sinners.
Oh, that's Andrew Bynum.
Andrew Bynum, Shaq when he was in college.
Shaq Diesel.
Sean Bradley. And yet on
Ooh,
his
Sean Bradley.
influence tree, he's oddly disconnected.
Bynum, Bill Walton, Will Bellamy, Patrick Ewing, Joel Embiid, Elijah, Cliff Hagan, Bill Russell, George Mikan. I've never seen Artist Gilmore play or Cliff
You can
Hagan.
understand why the sweeping hook shot went away. But how could the most effective move of all time become so novel? For one, allow me to be the 87 bazillionth person to say it, but the game has changed.
Kareem has said himself that the reason the sky hook isn't around because there's more threes.
Are way more homogenized today.
But the game moves back and forth, man.
I break down a young player's development into 3 categories. Experimentation, that is just playing, education, and maybe most important, emulation. Players emulate what inspires them and as the pop. 3 categories. Experimentation, that is just playing, education, and maybe most important, emulation.
These are all good. I mean, training goes kind of crazy nowadays. Emulation, if they see me do it, then they're more likely to do it. Thank God I'm in good enough shape to keep kind of showing them these moves, and I plan to be that way as long as possible. Education, players get a ton of this, whether it's from Instagram, YouTube, all of this stuff. They get very little experimentation. Everything is kind of in a training setting, so there's very little creativity. So players don't really create too much, especially in today's day and age. But the players that don't actually play, their experimentation is crazy. T-Jazz, this dude, I've seen some guys on Instagram and YouTube around. They're very, very creative. And when I talk about N1 and players like Professor, those guys, Bone Collector, those guys really push the regular game, the NBA game, a lot because they're the ones experimenting and creating new stuff. And then the pros are only taking what's basically been proven.
Players emulate what inspires them, and as the popularity and the marketability of the NBA exploded in the 80s.
So I think emulation will happen because of that Skyhook or Captain Skyhook or whatever they're calling them. I've seen all the trainers repost this stuff.
I wanted to come with something more cool. That's why I always went with the jumper rather than the little old school Skyhook.
The Skyhook is reminiscent of another era, an uncool time of short shorts with belts.
Shaq was definitely not a copier. He's definitely an originator.
Shooting underhanded free throws. If something looks lame, players just don't want to do it, even if it's proven to work.
I don't know who that is, but if that's John Wooden, he didn't demonstrate the way they just said Kareem should bring it up, right? John Wooden doesn't bring it up in line. He goes loopy, right? If you're shorter, you're gonna want this looping action.
Players just don't want to do it, even if it's proven to work. The captain has been retired for over 30 years. And even now, the Skyhook towers over any move that can be considered its contemporary. It's arguably the single greatest and most effective maneuver in the history.
This will get me to the Senior Olympics.
The move is never fully replicated ever
I'll be
again.
deadly with the Skyhook come
Abdul Jabbar's strength of character
come 65 or whenever the Senior Basketball Olympics is.
Basketball aside, make no mistake.
Skyhook and behind the head threes.
But but he was also fiercely principled and unbothered by what might be considered popular. Personally, I love the way that strength of individuality shines through in the skyhook. People have tried and tried, but no one could ever quite get to him. Let me know if you agree.
Yo, that was pretty good. I learned some stuff. Dope video. Go work on your sky hooks, running hooks, jump hooks, all of that. Remember, it all comes down to your arms. The more control over your arms that you have, the better you'll be. So chuck it up from behind your head, a high position 3, low position 3, out to the right, out to the left, left hand hook, right hand hook, off the left foot, off the right foot. Until next time, take 14 minutes, 24 seconds, or 1% of your day to get better. Peace.